Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to start our lesson about ISO cost line. Basically, yesterday we were talking about ISOCON curve, which was telling us about the same level of output to be produced by different combinations of labor and capital. But that ISOCON curve was not telling us which combination of labor and capital will be minimizing the cost of production for the producers in order to produce a particular level of output. So now we are going to analyze the ISO cost line. Actually, ISO cost line will tell us the relative prices of labor and capital, where cost of production along this line will remain same. All right, the different combinations of inputs like labor and capital can be employed, but total cost of production along this line will not change. All right, so this is ISO cost line. I said ISO means equal, whereas cost means expenditures on the production of goods, expenditures on the production of goods and services. Goods and services. This is about cost, like monetary expenditures which are incurred by the producers or entrepreneurs in order to produce the output, that is called cost of production. So if along one line the cost of production does not change, we say that line is telling us about ISO cost line. Now how can we write the cost? Cost means, see, we are writing over here, wages multiplied by the number of workers employed plus rate of interest and the capital which is employed. All right, this is about the wage bill. Suppose we are paying 1000 rupees to each worker per day and we have hired 500 workers over here, so we can say our daily wage bill will be 500,000. This is our wage bill. Now, wage bill depends upon the amount of wage paid to the workers and the number of workers employed. That can increase, that can decrease. It depends whether wages are increasing with the same number of workers employed, then wage bill will increase. Or if the wage rate remains same, but the number of workers employed, they have increased, again wage bill can be increased. And same is the case, wage bill can be decreased. And what is this? The rate of interest, suppose we are paying 10% rate of interest on 100,000 or 10, we can say 1 million amount of capital employed. So this can be said the 100,000 will be our interest paid. This is the expenditure on interest which is paid. The amount of capital employed multiplied by the rate of interest, that will tell us how much expenditure is incurred by the firm in order to produce a certain level of output. This can be 600,000 for a particular level. So this is about the cost equation when two factors of production are employed. We are not talking about how much is rent is paid to the landowner. We are taking into consideration only labor and capital. Now come towards how to derive an ISO cost line from this equation. Remember, we had also derived the budget line from the budget equation of the consumer. On the same line, we will be deriving the cost line. Now suppose let K should be 0. That capital is not employed by the producers, only the factor of production which is employed, that is the labor. Now the cost of production will be equal to W into L. How much workers will be employed? We can find C over W. These are the number of workers which could be employed by the firm if total cost is given to us divided by the number of wages, amount of wages paid to each worker, we can get the number of workers employed. This is called what? If we take over here labor and capital, if capital is 0, this point is C over W. That maximum of labor can be employed. Keep it in mind, the number of workers, they are inversely related to the wages. When wages are increasing, number of workers employed will be decreasing. It is inversely proportional. We can say it is having inverse relationship. When wages are increasing, number of workers employed can be decreased. Whereas when number of workers are increasing, it will increase the cost of production. All right. So this is the thing we can say this is the horizontal intercept. What it is? The horizontal intercept of the isocost line. Now, if I talk about, now let on the other extreme, if labor is 0, then all cost will be equal to R into K. So how much capital will be employed? That is C over R. This is called when labor is 0, this point will be C over R. All right. Again, we can see the capital employed is inversely related to the rate of interest. When the price of capital is increasing, the producers or entrepreneurs, they will be employing less capital. All right. And cost of production will be increasing when more capital is employed in the production process. All right. This is called the vertical intercept of isocost line. Vertical intercept of isocost line. All right. So these are the 2 points. We can say C over R is the vertical intercept, C over W is the horizontal intercepts. So if we join these 2 intercepts, we get the line which is called isocost line. It's a straight line, downward sloping, constant sloped. We can say along this line, the different combinations of labor and capital will have the same cost of production. Total cost does not vary. If we are employing all capital, this will be the cost. And if we are decreasing capital to increase labor, what is happening? We will be moving from this point to this point. This is the movement. This we say the rate of change or the gradient or slope of this line. It is downward sloping. It is negatively sloped. It shows that if we are decreasing capital, this is the change in capital over here. What it is? Change in capital. And this is change in labor. If we decrease capital, we are able to increase the number of workers. How many units of capital will be given up in order to increase an extra number of workers? That is called the slope. How can we find the slope? Change in capital due to change in labor. We said it is negatively sloped. Like if labor is increasing, capital will be decreasing. Both are inversely related. If labor is decreased, capital can be increased. So it is negatively sloped. Now, it's equal to, what is the vertical intercept? C over R over C over W. So this is the double division. If we solve it, minus C over R divided by C over W. So what will be the resulting answer? That will be W over C. C is cancelled. So what is this? Minus W over R. That is change in capital due to change in labor. So we can say the slope of this isocost line depends upon the relative prices of capital and labor, and you can see change in capital is again inversely related to the rate of interest, and the number of workers, change in labor is also inversely related to the wages. All right. So its slope is equal to the relative price ratio of wages, the relative price ratio of capital and labor. All right, this is the slope. As wages are going to increase, what happens to this isocost line? Now I'm using this part of the board. Now see, isocost line, this is our topic. So what happens when interest rate and wages are going to change? This is isocost line. It can be steeper or flatter. It depends upon the relative prices of labor and capital. So if wages are going to fall, what happens? Isocost line will have pivotal rightward shift. Only wages are falling, more workers can be employed. This was C over W1. Now this is C over W2. More workers could be employed by the firm when wages are decreasing. So if labor is hired more due to fall in wages, it means the labor demand is negatively sloped. So we say, so when wages are decreasing, isocost line will be having pivotal rightward shift, or it will rotate rightward. And what happens when wages are going to increase? When wages are going to increase, the inverse will happen. Now isocost line will be having inward rotation. Now wages are increasing, less number of workers will be employed by the producers. So this is what, when wages are changing, how isocost line will be changing, and what happens when capital is going to change. When we say the rate of interest on capital employed, that is changing. See over here. This is labor, this is capital. Now if interest rate of interest on capital borrowed, that is falling, then isocost line will have pivotal rightward shift from the vertical side when interest rate falls. More interest can be borrowed in order to employ, in order to produce more output. All right. And when interest rate decreases, okay, when interest rate increases, this is our isocost line. Keep it in mind, this isocost line should be touching the axis. It does not be falling without touching the axis. So when C, rate of interest is going to increase, then isocost line will have pivotal inward rotation or inward shift. Now we can see when wages are falling, isocost line is becoming flatter. Its slope is decreasing. It is becoming flatter. And when wages are increasing, it is becoming steeper. So slope will be varying due to the changes in wages and the rate of interest. Same is the case when interest rate is falling, we are having an outward rotation. So when interest rate falls, it becomes, you can say, more steeper from this side. But in other words, we can say from the vertical side, it is going out. And same is the case. I mean to say that slope of isocost line will be changing due to the changes in wages and rate of interest. Its slope is changing when wages and rate of interest are changing. Now come towards another point of isocost line. What is that? If firm wants to produce more output, it has to employ more labor and more capital. Even wages and rate of interest remain same. Now see, this is one iso cost line. If firm wants to produce more, it is hiring more labor and more capital. Then what happens? We have a parallel outward shift. When more labor and capital are employed at same wage rate and rate of interest. All right. So iso cost line will have parallel outward shift. Why do I say it is parallel outward shift? Because slope is not changing. The relative prices of labor and capital are same. That's why we are having a parallel outward shift. And when firm wants to produce less output, this will have parallel inward shift, keeping labor, wages, and rate of interest on capital constant. So that means when overall cost of production is going to increase by employing more labor and capital, it will have parallel outward shift and vice versa. And when their relative prices are changing, like wages and rate of interest, then there will be change in the slope of iso cost line. Now the question is, what is the question? This iso cost line is only telling us the cost of production. It does not tell us how much output is produced and where cost will be minimized along this iso cost line. All the points are showing the same cost of production along this line. It does not tell us the least cost combination of labor and capital where firm will be able to minimize its cost of production. This is the main thing, how producer will be able to achieve the least cost combination of labor and capital. For that purpose, he needs both isocont and isocost line, where isocost line is making a tangency condition. What it is? The tangency condition with the isocont curve, then we say that point will be the least cost. Now it is least cost combination of labor and capital. It is the point, it is a tangency point. Tangency point of isocost line and an isocont curve. Or we say where slope of isocont curve is equal to slope of isocost line. That is the tangency point. Now can I draw it for you people? This is isocost line and this is isocont curve. This is the equilibrium point, where we find this isocost line is making a tangency condition with the isocont curve, because isocont was telling us the level of output produced by different combinations of labor and capital, whereas isocost line tells us the cost of production remains same. So where, in other words, we studied in our consumer behavior, indifference curve was making a tangency condition with the budget line of the consumer. So in other words, we can say this isocost line is representing the budget of the producer or the cost of production of the producer, whereas isocont is telling us the level of output produced. So where both are making a tangency condition, or the slope of isocont is equal to the slope of isocost line, this number of capital unit and these number of workers will be able to minimize the cost of production of the producer in order to produce. We said yesterday, the producer wants to produce 1000 units of output. So along isocost line, every point was showing that total output of 1000 can be produced. But which combination of labor and capital will be minimizing the cost of production for the producer? Isocont was unable to tell. Now, isocost line was telling us the cost of production, but it was not telling anything about the production level. Now, when both are making a tangency condition at single point, at that equilibrium point, this is called an optimum point, where the firm will be finding the least cost combination of labor and capital to produce 1000 units of output, which will minimize the cost of production for the producer. So here, slope of isocont, we can say change in capital due to change in labor. What is the slope of isoconts? Yesterday we studied that is minus marginal physical product of labor over marginal physical product of capital should equal to minus W over R. This is the slope of isocost. This is the slope of isocont curve. So minus sign is cancelled out. We can say where marginal productivity ratio of labor and capital is equal to their relative price ratio, that is telling us the least cost combination of labor and capital, where cost of production will be minimized. Can I write in this way? Marginal physical product of labor over wages should equal to marginal physical product of capital over rate of interest. Can I say each dollar spent on labor in the form of wages will give the equal marginal physical product to the producer as the same dollar is spent on capital. That will also having the same marginal physical product of capital. So when these ratios are equated, or we are having the reciprocal divisions, so we can find that the least cost combination of labor and capital will be the point where this marginal productivity ratio is equal to their relative price ratios. Or we can say when each dollar spent on labor and capital will have the same marginal physical product of labor. So at that point we say the cost of production of the producer will be minimized, and he is using the optimum combination of labor and capital in order to produce 1000 units of output. Okay, you can find over here, if wages are falling, this isocost line will be rotating outward, then firm will be able to hire more workers to produce more output. And if wages are increasing, then isocost line will be shifting, rotating inward, then less workers will be hired by the firms in order to produce less output. And if firm wants to produce more output, then this isocost line will be shifting parallel outward, and a new isocont will be making a tangency condition with new isocost line, and more output at different cost of production will be produced. So that's all how firm or isocont and isocost line, they are able to minimize the cost of production by using different combinations of labor and capital. That's about our producer behavior till now we had studied. Okay, first we studied the production function, then we had studied the short run production in which law of diminishing returns was analyzed, and then we started isocont curve, and later on we started what? Isocost line. So all these things are about the producer behavior. This is a microeconomic analysis of the producer behavior. We are continuing this topic, And in our next class, we'll be having the long run production function from this, and then economies of scale maybe, and cost of production and revenues. Then we'll be moving into detail the theory of firm. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. You have to keep in touch for the economics lessons in microeconomics. So be in touch with the lessons and raise any question you are having in our question answering session. Thank you.